So 18 months ago, Shel and I started down this path. I'm paid to go around the world and interview tech executives and mostly startups and see what the future is. And we started seeing a series of patterns. There are really 5 patterns, right?
One is sensors. They're in your phones. They know where you are. They're in traffic lights. They know whether you're running through lights. They're in tattoos that help paraplegics report to their doctors what's going on in their bodies. They're in pills that you're going to be swallowing and thus lose the joy of colonoscopies when you reach a certain age.
And that's why I wore these things out, because this has a sensor that knows how fast you're going. And when you jump off a ski jump, it actually tells you how long your hang time is. And my Google Glass has an eye sensor, so it knows if I was drunk last night or not. But
That
I'm
goes
not going
without saying.
I'm not going to report that to anybody. So,
Go.
force number 2.
Okay. The Force is mobile. A lot of our book deals with the wearable part of it, such as Google Glass, such as all the things that you wear for your fitness, Fitbit, Nike Fuel Band. And in fact, this is a larger category than anyone knows. There's probably 10 million wearable devices being used every day. They're amazing in what information they give people. The question is, where else is this information being stored and used and shared? Location is very interesting. It knows where you are, and this can be very, very useful. It understands the context then of what advertising or marketing can be offered to you. If it's morning, you'll be offered a cup of coffee. If it's in the evening, it'll be offering you something a little stronger than coffee, or at least more alcoholic. If you're in a burning building and the wearer of the device is a first responder, it may tell you where the hazardous materials are. Social is where Robert and I got our start. We wrote a book in 2005 called Naked Conversations. The term social media didn't even exist then. Now it is part of every go-forward strategy for every modern thinking business on earth. And it tells a great deal to marketers and anyone else who's paying attention about what you like, who you like, when you talk, how social you are, what your interests are. And this is a marketer's dream. Then there's the other one. I think you get it here, but there's a show in America called Person of Interest that begins with the words, "There is this machine, it knows." And there are all these machines, and they know. And we talk a lot about big data, and people talk about these huge mountains of data in the clouds. Truth of the matter is, every one of us in this room absolutely must live with little teaspoons of data, little slivers all day long. Every time that you do a search on Google, you're accepting data. And this is a great trade-off, because you're allowing data to be collected because you really can't live without it unless you move into the outback and live in a tent and don't use utilities and don't drive and don't use a cell phone, because we live in a world that is more than a digital economy. To me, digital is like oxygen. You just breathe it wherever you go.
So you add these 5 things up, and it means 2 things for people, for us. It means that we're going to get highly personalized product. This Google Glass, when you try it on, it's mine. It has my email, my tweets, my airline tickets, my stocks, my Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. As more and more sensors and displays come along, the products are going to be smarter and do things that they just don't do today. On the screen is a new company called Tap and Go. This is for college kids right now. I wonder what other company started that way, right? But in the United States, there's 25 college campuses, and it basically stocks you. You pay for everything on the college campus with Tap and Go. And eventually, it just starts asking, would you like a flat white, like your normal flat white? And it knows what you like, because it's contextually learning about what you buy. And it automatically sends that order in, and you don't wait in line. You don't transfer any money anymore. Things are really deeply changing. The second thing it means for us is that a new kind of software is possible. Google and Apple are working on contextual operating systems, systems that are going to know whether you're walking or running or skiing or shopping or driving or biking or sitting in a conference, right? There's two things it means for businesses. One, every business is going to see everything about the business. You know, I put up here Uber. How many people have tried Uber here? Wow. That shows you that company's 3 years old, right? And you can see how much of a world impact a new company has had. But Uber, the guy who runs Uber, Travis, in his mobile phone can see every transaction, every piece of inventory, every customer, all in real time. And this has deep implications. You know, when I worked at Microsoft, I was rated every 6 months, right? At Telstra, you guys rated every 6 months still? You know, yeah. Well, at Uber, we rate Uber drivers every drive in real time. By the way, they're rating you too. You didn't know this, but if you destroy the car or if you get sick in the car, they give you a 1 and you probably won't get picked up again. But they have all this data. They know everything about everything in their business. And if you don't know everything about everything in your business, that's something you're going to have to fix over the next few years.
Every place you go will be able to upsell you based on your personal profile of what you like to do and when you usually like to do it.
Yeah. Cities are starting to change pretty deeply because of mobile technology. Do you have some stories?
IBM has smarter cities that is finding ways to make it environmentally cleaner based on where, you know, in San Francisco they discovered that a sewer line was 9 feet away from the water line, and they discovered this was not a healthy situation, and they rerouted it, did it at a very low cost. Autodesk, one of the sponsors of our books, does 3D modeling where you can actually have everybody who's impacted, from neighborhoods to architects, see a building as it goes up, see how the traffic patterns will change. And sensors are making it easier. There are smart parking spaces, so when you're driving around, there's a mobile app that'll tell you, I forgot the name, Libelium from somewhere in Spain. It will tell you where spaces are open so you don't circle around. And it also will, when you overtime park there, you'll automatically get a ticket. You'll be charged automatically as well. So it's good and bad news, because I always overpark. We see a whole revolution in marketing, and it's very significant. Right now, thanks to the internet, direct marketers can get a 2% response and make money. And if they make 3%, it's really wonderful. What isn't mentioned is that all of us in this room all the time are getting 97% of messages aimed at other people that we have to see, and it tends to annoy us, to say the least. But with contextual technology coming in, you can now give messages to people in the context where they would be interested in it. You can offer up to a certain time where they've picked the hotel they want to stay in, or the airline they want to use, or whatever travel package or whatever, and they no longer get messages. So we see pinpoint messaging becoming a situation where you only get messages that are relevant to you. Marketers start getting returns of 70, 80, 90%, and the rest of us stop getting pissed off with these annoying messages all the time. So then you have pinpoint marketing that really knows who you are, what you want, and can make a very decent stab at stealing you from the competition.
Because the costs on these sensors are coming down so quickly, it changes what we can do with them.
All this data is being gathered, and how is it going to be used, and what can we do about it? There are some companies, such as Google right now, who, you know, you can go to Google and do /privacy, and you can see what they know about you.
A lot.
A lot. And
Searches,
also,
email,
all the stuff we
calendar.
talk about in this book, there's more than one company working on it, and that gives certain advantages. And that advantage is that we can choose to deal with companies that are the most transparent. Our wrap-up chapter, this isn't a murder mystery, so we'll tell you how it ends. We predict that trust will be the currency in the new coming age of context, and that we will choose to, if one company has this feature and one company has that feature, we'll stick with what we have because it's going to become a commodity with an amazing rate of speed. And we will stick with the companies that will allow us to turn it off when we go to bed with whoever we go to bed with. Governments looking to the future need to look to a digital economy. They need to understand to keep the best and brightest of their own population there. They need to build a culture there. They need to build a technological infrastructure there so that the tools are in place for the best minds to do whatever the future and the age of context has.